Okay, so now we are going to focus on the game part. We know that that's working. Now we're in the game. We can call that here, okay, display countdown timer. After that, it's going to be the play game. Okay, now this should only run if that countdown timer is finished. So that means that we're kind of blocking this out until that finishes. So I want to make sure that I have that variable, this right here. So that's going to be in here. We go down to our play game. And everything is going to get encased inside of that. So if this is true, then we're playing our game. Okay? I don't need to ask an else because we're just not going to display anything in this case. All right, so in my game, I want to have a timer. Okay, so we're going to do almost the same thing. Let elapsed time equal millis minus that start time. Ooh, here's another thing. If I change the start time in here, then it will reset inside the play game every time. So the last thing I need to do when I'm in my display countdown timer is change that start time again. So let's come back down to our end of our statement. So here, countdown timer is finished, is true, and start time is pulling that most recent timer. Start time is what the millis timer is. Okay, so now I can minimize that, but now I have reset that timer to what the current time is. We got that mark again. Okay, so now in here, if elapsed time is greater than 1,000, then roughly a second has passed. So it might be 1,013, it might be 1,012, it might be exactly 1,000, but we have had a second pass, which means start time is resetting back to what the current time is to keep us accurate. And then our game timer will start decreasing. Game timer will start decreasing. Let's make sure I'm calling that right. Game timer, which starts at 10, and we're having it decrease. Okay. So countdown timer is finished. We cannot start this until that is true, and we need to check that the game is not finished. So game is finished is started as false. Okay. So we want it to continue running when game is finished is not true. Okay. So not game is finished. Okay. So both of these, this is an AND operator. So now we're introducing some new stuff. Okay. Challenge 1. Okay. So let's look at this. And is the and sign. Oh man. And I stink at writing it. It's the and sign. So it's shift and 7. And try one more time. Yeah, that's close. Okay. You need to have 2 of them to be and. Okay. These are equivalent. I cannot write it. I have to use this. Okay. All right. What that means is that you have a statement. So let's do statement 1 and statement 2. Both of those, if this would be true or false, and this would be true or false. This is part of my question. So if this is true and this is false, then the whole thing is false. All right. If if this is false and this is false, the whole thing is false. All right. If the only way for the whole thing to be true is if both of them are true. Okay. So that means that this would have to be true and this has to be true for the whole thing to be true. Okay. So it's like us simplifying stuff in math. Okay. That is the AND operator. The OR operator, which is a little bit different, is, let me bring this over, is written like this. So this is the OR operator, or which is written like this. It's two pipes. It's two perfectly parallel lines. And those are written by clicking the key above the enter key. It's shift in that key. Okay? They're called pipes. And we would have the same thing. We would have statement 1 or statement 2. Okay? So this would have to be true or false. This would have to be true or false. So we are going to simplify. So if this is false or this is false, the whole thing is false. All right? If this is false and this is true, with an OR, I only need one of them to be true. This is true. If this one is true and this one is false, the whole thing is true. If the first one and the second one are true, then the whole thing is still true, okay? That is how an OR works. Sometimes I don't need to have both of them be true at the same time. This could be, it's the weekend, and this could be, it's summer, vacation, to determine if I need to sleep in. If either one of those are true, I could sleep in, all right? So that is how we would write. And, ors, and nots. Those are everything that we would need to be able to play the game. Now, what we need when we're in to play a game is the countdown timer needs to be finished and the game needs to not be finished. So I need both of those statements to be true at the same time. So in here, when that game timer reaches 0, that is when I need to say the game is finished. So if game timer is equal to, or actually we can just say less than 1. If it's less than 1, and it's actually better if we're able to do it to do greater than or less than, because some code, depending on how you write it, may end up skipping over a value. Okay, so if we can do it like that, it is much better. So if game timer is less than 1, then the game is finished. Okay, that needs to be set to true. All right, so while this is happening, now I didn't have any clicks or anything set up, but that is what I'm doing. So while we're playing the game, I do want to display some stuff, but I haven't done the mouse clicks yet. So we'll get to that. But we can display, say, we'll do with a push and a pop. We're going to display some instructions. This would be our instructions 2. So let's do text size, and let's do 24. And you guys could change colors and stuff. Text size 24, and we want to check. We want to put our text in there. And I want to kind of display this close to the top. Again, we have our instructions 2. We want to center it, so let's do our text align. We're going to set that again. Text align, center on the horizontal, center on the vertical, make it easier for us to position. Then here, I'm going to look width-wise. I'm going to say that we are doing width divided by 2 minus instructions. Let's do instructions dot length. Okay. Now if we just run this, should get an error. There's the error. Okay, it pops up in my flow. Instructions is not defined. Yeah, because it's instructions 2. Okay, and then we want to do our position. I kind of want it towards the top, so I'm going to say like 150. And then, I don't know, let's say it's like 200 high to give space. Okay, let's display. I don't see anything. We have some issues, so let's double check. Now, this is also going to get very tedious, us trying to go through, because we got to go through each step, right? So, I am in my play game, which means I don't want to be displaying the countdown timer every time, okay? So, this right here, I don't want to see this anymore, okay? So what I would do is I can just set it at the very start. I could set countdown timer is finished to true. What else could I set? I could also set my game is not finished, so that was false. I need to see my values. There's the text align, so that's giving me the other issue. That's what I wanted to try to see. I wanted to just kind of jump right to it. Okay, so we are going to have to change this. We're not going to forget that we did that. We basically broke it just so we can go immediately to the play game. When you're prototyping, you don't want to have to be going through each thing. Instructions 2, it says requires X, Y, width, and height. So it looks like it's missing something. Let's see how we set up instructions 2. We have instructions 2. I see that there. Instructions 2. I see that there. Okay, so there must be an issue on how we wrote it. So we are going to go ahead and do a console.log. Console.log. Check what instructions 2 says. Click the mouse as fast as you can. Okay, now it's still giving me this error, requires X, Y, width, and height. Let's check what that length is, dot length. See what that says. 34, it is giving me a value. Let's make sure that I wrote this right, so we can copy this. Oh, you know what? This is the X right here. Here's the Y. Here's the width, and I didn't put a height. Okay, so there's my width. Let's do height. I want it close to the top. And then I'm going to do 200, 200. Okay, now let's run. Okay, I want to move that around. I don't like it there. That's too far down. Let's maybe make it 50. I don't like it there. Why is that different than our instructions? Display instructions. Height divided by 2 minus 100. Okay. That shouldn't matter. It might be because it's too long. If we say that that's only like 100. There, okay. So we want it to be longer, but it's going to start moving it over each time. Okay. Width. So we could play around with this, but I just want to quickly get this over. So I'm just going to nudge it over. We already know that that's nudging it over 32. I'm going to multiply that by 2. It should be much better. Okay, that's much better. Okay, so click the mouse as fast as you can. I still want that to be higher up because I don't want that to be in the way. Ten. Okay. Now, the next thing that we want to see is we do want to see in the center, we want to see what our click count is. Okay? So, we're going to do text size 32, and this could probably be different colors. We already have our text align as that size. We're going to do text. I don't need this console.log anymore. Let's look at it. I believe it's called click count. Click count. Okay, so that's what we're going to check. Click count. Text. Click count. And that should change every time we're pressing the mouse. And then we're going to do width divided by 2. I want it kind of centered. So minus, we might need a minus like 10. And I want it close to the center, but I need to add a little bit because my other one was kind of there. All right, so that should be 0. Yeah, I really want that to move over. Let's do 3. Ugh, 2.5. Okay. So this, maybe I want that bigger. 48. Yeah, I want that size. Okay. But it's going to be not just this. I probably want to do a string literal, and I want to say clicks. And then this is going to be a variable that I'm putting in there. And then I got to finish it with a backtick. Okay, let's double check again. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, I only want to see that though while the game is going, so this will disappear. We probably also want to see the timer. See, it disappeared. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to copy here, and we're going to, we have our clicks. We want to see our timer. Seconds left, and then this would be my game timer. Okay, and we kind of have it centered, but now we're going to, if that one's 50, let's do this one like 80. Okay, and the seconds left one, let's do that by like 30. Yeah. Okay. So that looks pretty good. And we want to get the clicks. So now in order to do that, so we have everything nested in there. We're only going to see that while the time is going. This part is basically done. Okay. Now what we need is we need another function that's going to be for my mouse pressed. And I want to, if the game is not finished, so game is finished is not true. Okay. If game is finished is not true, and the countdown timer has to be done, okay, because I don't want to be able to start clicking on it beforehand. If I didn't do it, just so you could see, click count is going to increase. So then, in this case, click count, we are using a postfix decrementer. I have the countdown timer automatically going through, but that would automatically start going right away. Okay, so I need to do this, and the countdown timer is not finished. Okay, so the game is not finished, and the countdown timer is not finished. Or excuse me, the countdown timer needs to be finished, the game timer needs to not be finished. So, and countdown timer needs to be finished. Okay, so that would get me in there. That's my mouse press. This is what's increasing up my score. Increasing my score. All right, now we do the last piece. So we played the game finishes. Now I need to check my score. Okay, I want to display. So the max score, this is how we would write if we want to start holding a high score value. So if max count, I think, max count, max clicks, that's my variable. If max clicks is less than the click count, okay? If that's true, then that means click count is greater. Okay, and actually that's kind of confusing writing. We're going to write it like this. If click count is greater than max count, max clicks, okay, if that's true, that means I have a new high score. So if max clicks was 10 and then my clicks was 12, I want the new max clicks to be 12. So I'm going to say max clicks then is, I'm assigning it whatever the click count was. Okay, that is what I'm doing when I end my game. That's the first thing that I'm going to do. And then I want to display that. So if I beat the high score, okay, so here, if I beat the high score, I probably want to display. So let's display, let's do a push and a pop. And you guys are going to have a challenge in here, but I want to build in here where I'm saying, if the click count is bigger than the max clicks, I want to actually display like, hey, you beat the high score, like congratulations. If it's not, I want to, say you stink. Okay, so then that means in this case we have two options. We have an if and an else. We beat or we didn't. If we tied, we still suck. Okay, so we do a push and pop in between here, and then we can display. So if, like, we can display some temporary instructions. Statement is nothing right now. Okay, but if we beat the high score, then we can say statement is congratulations. Let's do a string literal with the backtick. Congratulations. You achieved a high score of $, and I think I might want to change how I'm displaying this. So some of this would be in color and the other part wouldn't. Actually, I'm going to make that as a challenge for you. So, but we'll do this as two separate phrases. So technically, I guess we don't need to have a string literal. We're going to have to break this up into pieces. High score of, and then we're going to do our max clicks, which we got. We already set that. And then we'll do our statement 2, which put that as an empty. Statement 2. So congratulations, you achieved the high score of, and that would be our clicks. Let's put a space in there. Clicks in only 10 seconds. Ooh, That would be a string literal. And only $game timer. Nope, that's not going to be able to do it because it's at 0. My bad. We could put a different variable to hold that, but not necessary. Okay, so we're going to put this together and display. Okay, so I'm going to say text statement and then we're going to do width divided by 2, height. Actually, let's just put this towards the left. So let's do 30, and then we want to be close to the middle. Height divided by 2, and then we want to have some overflow. So I'm going to do like 360. That would be a fill of black. And then we want our max clicks, and that's going to be another text, but we want that to be, some color. So random. Let's do. How about blue? Or green? Yeah. 0, 255, 0. Text, max clicks. That's going to be underneath that. So let's do width divided by 2. We're going to text align that. Width divided by 2. I'm going to do height divided by 2 plus 50. We'll have to see if that's going to do it. And then we want to do our next statement. So we want to go back in our text align. Let's look how to do that. Text align left. Text align left. Text. And we'll do statement 2. This is statement 2. Statement 2. 30 height divided by 2 plus 100. All right, let's see. We're not even calling this. And we have issues because the game is finished. We want to only display this when the game is finished. So let's hurry and do that. Game is finished. If that's true, when we're in here, we're executing this. Okay. If we didn't beat the high score, let's just quickly write that. If we didn't beat the high score, so that would just be statement. I'm only using statement. Statement. You need to do better. All right, there's my statement. And then I also want to probably have, when I display, maybe I'm going to have the max show up here when we're showing the instructions or the countdown. So let's display that. End game, I can actually make, if the game is not finished, it's going to display it all the time. Okay, so if I put an else here and say game is not finished, it's going to put that max clicks there. But if I want it to display all the time, then I just need to not put it inside of a conditional. So I want to put a push and a pop, and I want to ask, let's do text, align, right, and top. So I can put this on the very end, and then I want to say text is string literal max clicks $, max clicks, and code block, and then I'm going to do width, let's do -30 and 30 to keep it over from the edge, and then we need to call that end game because that's not getting called. Play game, end game. Okay, so see, I'm not seeing the max clicks here. There it is, right there. Let's see if it works. There it is, max clicks. But it's saying you need to do better. Why did it do that? Let's check real quick. We gotta keep checking our stuff. Game is finished. We had if this was true. Should not have ran. There's an error in there that we need to fix. That should not be set. It ran it multiple times. Because once I change the value, then this is no longer true. So it ran it once, it changed it, but we didn't even get to see it because it did it. So it's because it didn't white it out. All right, so in order to do this, we need to make it so it only runs. We don't want it to check. If game is finished, okay, so we will add another one. Game is finished. Let's add another one and put end display end game. End game is displayed. Is updated. How about that? Okay, so that's going to start out as false. I'm going to have to put this in multiple places. So that starts out as false. Once it displays, then we don't need it to change anymore. Okay, so end game. We want to display what the statements are, but do that outside of this if statement. The if statement is going to be used to change the high score and to change what our text is. And this needs to be not true. Not updated. Okay, so that means that we need to take the statements. Those statements need to not change. So we basically have to still do this. We're going to display this all the time. So that's going to be outside of our conditional. Okay. We don't need to display here. We don't need to display here. All we're doing is just updating those statements. If it has been updated, so if we have done it, then we don't want to do it again. So we're going to have to set this up to true, end game is updated equals true. So that would only fire. Let's check to make sure that that worked. Now statement 2 is blank, so that won't really do anything there, but we want it to say no. If I do a console.log, let's just show where the logic is breaking down. Our max clicks are updating. It's our statement that we want to fix. See, it's still running over and over and over. Because once we set it equal to it, it is no longer, this else is always firing. Okay. We think. Okay, this is going to be nested around this entire thing. If, like what we've been doing, end game is updated is not true. So we need it to just happen one time. So then all of my code actually needs to be surrounded by this. If end game is updated, is not updated, then we're executing this, whether it's true or false, and then we're going to display. Okay. Now statement, if we never get in there, is going to be blank. If we get in there, regardless if it's true or false, we only want it to look once. So it's either going to ask this question, it's going to be true, or it's going to be false, and then we need to set this that it has updated properly, and then we come to the end of the block, and then this will run. Okay, logic-wise, that should be good. So all of my statement should be inside of there, so that all I have that's going to update is the max clicks. Let's go ahead and see it again. This is something that you guys need to be checking when you guys are making games and not just trying to do it. Now, I didn't see it run multiple times with here, and it did print that out. Okay, now let's try to beat. So that is giving one update. Okay, so it didn't display it at all. Let's see what we did. should have ran here or here. Some weird kind of code going on. We know it's going to beat. That ran the here. That's where are we at? Okay, game is finished. If we beat it, say new high score. We need to make sure that we see it. Else, and there's same old score. And game is updated. Equal to true. We should only see that one time. That is what we're using for the console.log. And then it should update the statement. Oh, I know what it is. It's because this is still running and we reset it here. So I need to set these statements outside of the end game, okay? Which means that they need to become global variables that start out as empty, and then they will run through again. Okay, so statement and statement 2 need to be created with no instructions. Statement is here, and statement is also empty. Okay, we have to think about the order and the flow. Now this should display because I'm not resetting it every time I start running end game. It will pull. You achieved a high score. Okay. That, I don't really like that. I don't like the text size. Fill 0. We filled green. And then we want to do fill 0 again. I think here you probably want to play around with the stroke. And we probably want to change the text size to, let's do like 24. And then before we run through that, let's put our display timer piece. Let's change that. We're going to take this back off so we can run through the entire game. And if we wanted to test this again, you achieved a high score of 20 clicks in only 10 seconds. So we could kind of play around with how that's flowing. But if I click it again, it didn't reset me. Okay, which means when we click that button, game is finished. That needs to get set back to false when we reset the game. We have something that is not resetting. Click count. The countdown timer needs to get set back to 3. Countdown timer needs to get set back to 3. The game timer needs to get set back to 10. Okay, these are all the values that I needed when I first started the game. I should be able to click this and it should just start the process over. If I click it again, yes. Okay. All right, it looks like this is working. We want to see that change. There we go, 36 seconds, max 36 clicks. It's showing my max clicks are still there. Let's go. Did not update. Okay. click count did not reset. Click count was 0. We have it fired a new high score, but it did not change it because we didn't change that other value. So that means that it did what the previous statement was. So this endgame is updated, needs to be set back to false. Okay, we have to keep testing this, make sure that we get it all 100%. Set this back to false. Okay, we test. All right, so the other challenges that you guys are doing is that I want, like the traditional clicks games, is that we are displaying an image for like their click speed. So like really slow clicker that's getting, say, 0 to 10, okay? Your end game, instead of having just these statements, okay, you can have in lieu of the statements or with the statements and move the statements around. I want to see, you know, the various games where you would have, like, if you were really slow, you were, you know, say some slow superhero. Pick a theme. It doesn't matter what the theme is, but you are going to end up picking different images to do for what they are. So I want at least 8 images, okay? If someone is clicking above 80 clicks, they are amazing. So, you know, whatever that is, that's not going to change. But you are going to end up having here our challenge 2, okay, is going to be your end game display. So I want you to change the background image for the game, which is, this will be a simple one. Change background for the game, the countdown, and for the end game. And I would like them to be different, but I want them to be kind of themed for what you're doing, okay? So they don't have to be all, you know, black. They don't need to be just random images. It should be something for your theme of what you're going to be your display for those images. Your challenge 3, though, will be displaying those images. So you need 8 images, okay? If the score is that click count, if the click count is 0 to 10, actually we're going to do 0 to 9, so that's actually 10 spots. Then we're going to do, you know, in an image 1. You're going to display image 1, and it's going to be something to show that they are super slow or not paying attention. If we're 10 to 19, okay, we're going to do image 2. All right, and then this would be like sloth-like, you know, a little bit faster. 20 to 29 is going to be image 3. A little bit faster. 30, you get the idea, to 39. 40 to 49. 50 to 59. 60 to 69. 70 to 79, and then the best would be 80 plus, okay? This is all images, so you have image 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 images, okay? I miscounted. 9 images to show, displaying those. I would like to see those displayed if you were doing the text behind the text, and, you know, accentuate it. If you're doing the text with it, it has to still be readable. If you have your images, you could have those change as your new background for the game. You could have the images displayed, your max clicks. You know, you could show just the max clicks and then put the images and then have those every time we replay. It's showing that, but it's updating for each of them. It would be awesome. So, you know, additional challenge is if you had additional phrases for each piece. So instead of just displaying those images in a cool, unique way, also say something for each one of the images. Like, you are a cheetah, you've gotten 80 plus, no one can beat you, you're the Flash, whatever. If they got 0 to 9, be like, you're a punk, like, you need to do better. Something that would be a cool additional challenge to really kind of make this game, the theme, your own. Okay, so that's those challenges. Challenge 1 is doing the traffic light for the countdown. The additional challenge would be to have red, yellow, green sounds. Challenge 2 would be to change the background for the countdown, the end game, and the playing the game. And then challenge 3 would be to have those images for the end game to kind of really build up that click game kind of vibe. If you wanted to add also as an additional challenge like clap sounds or like boo sounds, you could easily do that here. If they beat the max click, they get clap sounds. If they didn't, they get a boo sound. Okay, so additional phrases and or cheers and boos. Okay, and that would be pretty cool. Okay, so that is the tap per second game. That's all that we're covering. This finishes up part 2. We went over, you know, the play game part. We went over the end game part, and then really tested it to make sure that all the pieces were working. So that's it. Good luck on your challenges. Have fun.